So after a long hiatus from the NBA or whatnot, well, basically just me waiting on the NBA to get back here. We're finally back. So kind of want to talk about these teams that are going to be playing this season now, what you can and cannot expect from these guys. The first up on the list is Atlanta Hawks, of course. The Hawks are going to be the Hawks, but they're playing more like a Warrior-style basketball now, so we'll see how this kind of works. And, I do have those guys going a little bit further along than they did last season. Whether they make the playoffs or not has yet been determined, but we'll see about that. There's a lot of guys to be interested in. Cam Reddish, the rookie, DeAndre Hunter as well as another rookie. These guys just seem fundamentally sound and kind of ready, so we'll see what they give this Hawks team and see if they get them a new identity of the season. Kevin Huerter's another guy to watch out for, made the all-rookie second team last season. Perfect complement, Trae Young at the shooting guard spot. Also, you got Trae Young, of course. See if he can go on his Steph Curry impressions a little bit longer. John Collins is an interesting topic of, is this guy really a power forward or a center? But we'll see how that comes along. Next up, we got the Boston Celtics. Kemba Walker is a thing. Can Gore Hayward get back to that same Gore Hayward we used to see in Utah? I kind of feel like this is the same scenario with him every season now, but hopefully this guy just kind of finds it all together and it clicks. So you got that. Jason Tatum is another storyline to watch and see how he progresses this third season. Jaylen Brown is one of the more interesting topics just because he wants a max contract from the Celtics, and I don't think the Celtics are willing to give it to him. But nevertheless, another storyline to do. Can Cantor be a defensive anchor for once in his life? I doubt it, but hey, we'll see. The Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving show. We're going to see if Uncle Drew can handle being another leader or something like that. You got young guys like Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen. Will some of these guys take a back seat now that, Kyrie and Kevin Durant is on the team, Durant won't play until next season. It's going to be an interesting topic that they go on throughout the year. How far can they make it in the East with just Kyrie and the young talent around him who you can argue is not better than Boston's young talent? So, you have that. Next up on the list, the Hornets. The Hornets are kind of the Hornets. What you see is what you get. Sorry, not sorry. They'll probably be one of the worst, if not the worst team in the league. It's going to be hard to come by scoring on this team a lot. I'm not even going to lie to you, but hey, maybe, Terry Rozier, Scary Terry can get these guys somewhere. Hopefully this is the year Malik Monk finally wakes up and becomes the guru instead of the monk. Maybe P.J. Washington is a surprising rookie, a glue guy, do-it-all guy for these Hornets. The real candidate to watch out for is probably Miles Bridges, who probably has the best impersonation of LeBron that I've seen in a minute. And I'm just joking, I'm not theoretical. But next up, we have the Chicago Bulls. I think these guys are going to be healthy. Of course, throughout the whole season, there'll be ups and downs, as Zach LaVine figures to be a secondary ball handler because Larry Marketing kind of just needs the ball in his hands. But, maybe Zach doesn't over-dribble this year. Hopefully Kobe White is proven to be a scoring facilitator, and he can kind of just give these guys a boost. Other than that, Otto Porter, hopefully he can keep his efficiency up. Maybe Wendell Carter Jr. can stay on the court finally and contribute something this year. Next up, you got the Cavaliers. Kind of like a stuck in the middle situation for these guys. You got Kevin Love with this massive contract, of course, and he wants to be in Cleveland. But you also bring in Darius Garland, one of the most poised point guards I've seen in a minute behind Ja Morant. On top of that, you got Colin Sexton, who shot 40% from three last year, but of course we got to see if he can continue to do that. Was that a fluke? Maybe so, or maybe the guy's just really that good. I don't know. But you also got Tristan Thompson, who we all know him by the Kardashians, so kind of irrelevant at this point. Next on the list, we have the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks are probably going to be one of the most sleeper teams in the league this season, just simply because they have two of the best young players in the game. And I'm confident saying that about Porzingis, even though he missed a year and a half off. The guy Porzingis just kind of knows what to do, and and he knows where to be in the right spot. He's very efficient from the three-point line and the mid-range game. He's got a couple of post moves. Luka, of course, is the boy wonder who can do kind of a little bit of everything, and it looks like a fluke, but it's really just his talent. They're going to be very interesting to see how they put this team together, and Rick Carlisle's coaches this team. You have Steph Curry as a dead-eye shooter, Tim Hardaway Jr., who can get kind of explosive, Dwight Powell, big body inside, Boban Bogdanovic, I know 7-footer. These guys are kind of long. Of course, you got Uncle J.J. Barea, who pretty much is the uncle of the whole team, and these guys are his nephews. So next up, you got the Denver Nuggets. I want to see if it's a fluke. I want to see if these guys are, really the top dogs in the West like they were last year, coming in at second in the West. So, it's going to be a good scenario to see. They bring a lot of their guys back in as well as implement a lot of guys that have been on the team but been kind of out with injury, a.k.a. Michael Porter Jr. and hopefully Bol. Considered to be the two steals of the past two drafts. I think Michael Porter Jr. is kind of give it the score, so we'll see how he reacts when he gets the minutes and stuff like that. Bol don't kind of know when he's going to be back on the court. We'll get there when we get there, kind of like Joel Embiid, right? After that, you kind of have the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons are, of course, going to be the Pistons, but, as Blake Griffin, you kind of know what you're going to get from him right now. Andre Drummond is like, man, yeah, you can kind of tolerate it, but kind of not. Derrick Rose, of course, is on the team, very explosive guard. Let's see if we can have another promising year, just like he did in Minnesota, to revive his career and make sure that wasn't a gamble. I believe in old D Rose, though. Next up, Golden State Warriors. I think people are not giving the Warriors no credit. Granted, they got D'Angelo Russell and, Klay Thompson's out for a season, but I think the backcourt combination of Curry and Russell will kind of wreak nightmares once they kind of figure this thing out. It's not perfect now, but hey, it is a championship pedigree team, so do we really expect these guys to be in a slump all season and in a bad place like they're rebuilding? No, I won't put my money on it. The Houston Rockets, kind of one of the biggest wild cards because it's like James and Westbrook. Does it work? Does it not work? Can these guys share the ball and, create for others and be unselfish with the ball and things like that? Even if they don't figure it out, I think this is going to be a hard team to kind of deal with, so you have to kind of pick your poison. It's going to be a fun season, whether it's good or bad. You got next up, you got the Indiana Pacers. So, of course, the Pacers are probably a sleeper team in the East as well. Got a bunch of bucket getters on the team, between T.J. Warren, Jeremy Lamb, Victor Oladipo when he's coming back. Malcolm Brogdon, who was the efficiency god for Milwaukee last season, who they should have paid and kept, but that's another story for another day. Then, a couple of good bench role players. You got Justin Holiday, great three-point shooter. His little brother, of course, Aaron Holiday, who has shown some flashes of being a decent floor general for these Pacers. It's a lot of stuff to like. Of course, they got Sabonis and Miles Turner, but apparently from what it looks like, Sabonis might be out of there before we even blink. So you got that. And then, it's just a lot of stuff to like with this Pacers team. You got to imagine they'll go far. Next up, you got the Los Angeles Clippers, of course, the two best wing players and all around both ends of the floor wings that's in the game today, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. This team is going to have a lot of turnovers, a lot of defensive steals, a lot of blocks. This is going to be probably top 3 defensive team in the league, I'm willing to bet. It's going to be hard to stop them. Just think about it, coming off a screen from Kawhi, then you got to face Paul George off another screen, beat that, here's Pat Bev. So a lot of defensive stuff to deal with this Clippers team, as well as offense as well. Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, those guys can be a problem at any given night. Then, of course, dealing with Kawhi himself is a big task. And then you have Landry Shamet waiting in the wing, kind of like a young guy, but not afraid to pull the trigger. Of course, the rookies they drafted this year, however you say, Mafundo, whatever the hell his name is, he seems like a pretty solid power forward for these guys. They can kind of mold and nurture. Terrence Mann just seems like an NBA-ready guy that can kind of do it all right now. So, it's going to be cool to see how this Clipper team's kind of roll out, especially by the end of the season. Don't think we should be focusing on these guys too much. The next team is the Los Angeles Lakers, of course. The Lakers have LeBron and AD. They will be forever on the hype vids and the hype Bleacher Report files and things like that. So, of course, you got those guys. That's going to be cool. We'll see how far LeBron and AD can take these guys and how well they're meshing their chemistry. I think Kuzma's going to be the wild card in this one, though, because Kuzma kind of can play that 3 and 4 spot. Just got to see how well he improves. I think he'll do fine, though, once he's healthy and back on the court. Next up is the Memphis Grizzlies. These guys aren't going to compete, but they are going to be fun as hell to watch. These guys are very athletic, very mobile, very, tough. I mean, they bring that real Memphis grind back out of these people, and I think Memphis is in for a fun time between Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. and also Brandon Clark, who was the MVP of the Summer League this season, the other rookie. So, I mean, between those three, I think they got their core set. Also, Josh Jackson and Grayson Allen and Tyus Jones are very intriguing for role player material, but kind of haven't hit their prime or really haven't gotten that development time they needed. So we'll see how Memphis kind of handles this. Their future's kind of, bright with all these young guys on the team. Next up is the Miami Heat. Tyler Hero, can he really be the hero for the Heat? Somebody get this man a cape, please. Of course, you got Jimmy Butler, too, as well. Can Butler really put these guys on his back and do what he has to do and, see if Eric Spoelstra can really get this team back to where they were. Dion Waiters kind of already acting like a buffoon and a knucklehead, so we'll see how that goes. Then, of course, next up, you have the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks, I expect them to be back at the top when Giannis, of course, the reigning MVP. He'll be just like he was last year and probably, if more, even better. This guy's going to take these guys to great heights and things like that. Next up, you've got the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't think the Wolves are anything to be worried about. Of course, Towns said you should watch out for them, but let's be honest, who's really watching out for the Wolves? Nobody. But Towns, he's got all the talent to be the greatest guy, but Wiggins has to kind of step it up a lot. Other than that, I mean, Jared Culver's an interesting scorer. He was the second leading scorer in preseason by the Wolves, and it hasn't happened in forever, so as a rookie anyway, but that's good signs, I guess. The Pelicans, the number one team to watch this year, between Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Drew Holiday, Josh Hart, Zion, Jackson Hayes, Derek Favors. This team is pretty freaking loaded. I'm not even going to lie to you. They've got good depth, good size, good positionless basketball going on. A lot of shooters, a lot of, interior guys. Jahlil Okafor's also on the team as well. Go Duke. These guys have kind of just did the right things in the post-AD saga, surrounding Zion with as much talent as possible. And so him and Lonzo Ball don't have to kind of play outside their game, still manage to keep Drew Holiday, who really wants to be around, it seems. These guys are going to be a threat. I don't know now or when, but definitely in the future and the long run, and they definitely have a bright future ahead. The New York Knicks. The future for them is kind of like dim. I mean, the light is kind of fading on these guys. I mean, hopefully RJ Barrett seems to be able to, bring that light back to the shine. I do like RJ Barrett's game. He kind of does look like a pro already, like he's been doing this for years. So that's a good sign, I guess. Julius Randle is also a thing for these guys. Maybe him and Mitch Robinson can, really be that anchor on defense and things like that for the Knicks. So that's a thing. Alonzo Trier also gets bugged. So, yeah. I mean, next up after the Knicks, you probably got Oklahoma City. OKC is kind of in a pickle. They have a decent team if you kind of look past all the young guys between Shea Gilgeous, Terrence Ferguson, Darius Baisley, and, all those guys. I mean, Chris Paul's still a legit floor general, even though he has gotten older and declines a little bit and slowed down. Still a decent floor general to have, especially for a team with as many weapons as OKC seems to have quietly. Andre Roberson, still a good 3-and-D guy, one of the best defensive guys in the league, still more than likely. Hasn't touched the court in a while, but I still expect him to keep that same production and everything. On top of that, you probably have you know what? Steven Adams not that bad as well. On top of that, next up is the Orlando Magic. I will be following the Magic simply because I'm a Markelle Fultz fan. I know, go ahead and shame me now, but I don't care. I think he alone can help boost this Orlando team up to somewhere they've never been. I kind of like this. They always needed that point guard, and DJ Augustin is cool with playing alongside Markelle, guiding him and mentoring him. And I think Orlando just kind of going to take their time with the guy. Also, Aaron Gordon, if any year is the year for him to break out, this needs to be the year. Jonathan Isaac, I think, is ready to take that next leap after he was kind of derailed by injuries. Mo Bamba is another intriguing guy. Of course, Nikola Vucevic is still there in his way and still getting buckets, but let's see how long Vooch can really kind of keep this up. I expect Mo Bamba to kind of demand more minutes as well as Markelle Fultz. I think they'll be coming along slowly but progressing very well. So we'll see how far this Orlando team can improve on what they've already been good at. Of course, Evan Fournier still has to hit shots as well, so let's just see how that goes. Next up after that, you got the Philadelphia 76ers, of course, my Sixers as well. Can Ben Simmons be a thing of the past and kind of like leave his foreshadow to where he was kind of scared to shoot jumpers, and maybe this is the real Ben Simmons that's going to start pulling up from everywhere on the court. I keep praying on that, but hopefully that's the case. As well as Joel Embiid, can he stay healthy for the whole 82-game season? That'll be a thing. Probably not, though. That's probably going to be the answer to that question. Watch out for Al Horford. Can we see if he's going to be a legit stretch forward, power forward for us and kind of, bail out Embiid when Embiid has to sit games and miss back-to-backs and things like that? Can Josh Richardson be a great value, Jimmy Butler or something? Can he score a little bit? I think he can give me at least 15 to 16 a game. That's solid for what I'll be getting from somebody like Tobias Harris, who I just gave a max contract to, and I expect to at least average 22 a game or a little around that area of the 19 to 20 range. Can he basically just beat Tobias of the Clippers? That's basically what I want him to be. Another guy to watch out for is Zaire Smith, the rookie from last season, technically a rookie this year, didn't play any games, missed the whole season. Very athletic, very defensive-minded wing/guard. Of course, the rookie we drafted this year, Matisse Thybulle from Washington, got average 3.0 steals in the preseason, so he was kind of getting that three, kind of brings that defensive mindset too as well, so it's going to be interesting to see how the young Bulls go. Mike Scott as well. Mike Scott's an interesting piece that still remains on the team, so a lot of new things to get excited about in Philly. I imagine they'll be at the top of the East at the end of the season, trying to take home the crown. Next up, you have the Phoenix Suns. The Suns are going to always be the Suns. Monty Williams is the new coach. Rubio finally joins a team that kind of needs his passing chops, and we can see if Devin Booker can finally play off the ball. That's a real legit shooting guard. Can DeAndre Ayton get better? Can Mikal Bridges get better? Also, can Darius Saric be a contributing role player to this team? Frank Kaminsky seems to have found life as well, shooting threes and whatnot in the preseason. Also as well, Cameron Johnson seems to be shooting lights out as well. He seems to be a new Klay Thompson mold coming in. Kind of like his length to at 6'9", playing small forward. That's a big small forward, honestly. But, Phoenix kind of has an interesting way of what they're doing right now. We think they're going in the right direction, but hopefully, this organization can just turn it around and not lose like 800 games every season. Next up, you guys have Portland Trail Blazers, of course, Dame Dollar, after dissing Shaq all summer. Shout out to Shaq anyway, man. Dame and CJ are kind of just an offensive juggernaut themselves, so we'll see if Mario Hezonja, the former number 5 overall pick by the Orlando Magic, and we see if he will provide a spark to these guys. Yusuf Nurkic is going to be out for most of the beginning of the season, so when he comes back, can he keep his production up and be what he was to these guys when he first got there? Also, Hassan Whiteside, can you, show back up just a little bit maybe? I'm hoping just a lot. So you got that as well. Anthony Simon seems to be a big thing for these guys. They're kind of high on him. Hopefully my Duke guy, Gary Trent Jr., can find some kind of playing time. I think he just needs to learn how to be consistent as well. But, Nasir Little is a different type of rookie for the Portland Trail Blazers to select, but only time will tell, and we'll see how this UNC product lasts in the NBA. Next up are the Sacramento Kings. The Kings are going to be interesting. We're going to see if Luke Walton can really coach. Fox, we're going to see if he can keep shooting lights out like he was and prove that he might be better than John Wall. Buddy Hield wants a max contract, but I don't know if the Kings are willing to give it to him. But for them to be such a small market, they should want to keep him around, and Buddy has been a big reason why Sacramento has gotten as far as they have now. We're going to see a Bagley and Harry Johnson combine to make that terrorizing front court that's kind of just athletic and able to stretch the floor anywhere on the court. Of course, they both are able to push the fast break, so that's going to be an interesting topic of the season. Dwayne Dedman being a stretch five for these guys is huge. Harrison Barnes getting that 4-year contract. We'll see if he can deliver every year for these guys. Trevor Reeves is a big pickup for these guys. They need a defense, and that's going to be somebody that's going to be motivation and defense in the locker room, a great vet presence. Next up is San Antonio Spurs. Never count Pop out. Of course, Pop is going to be Pop. He will call you out if you're wrong, and he's not afraid to do it and stuff like that. DeJounte Murray's coming back off a great preseason run where he kind of looked real good still. The shots improve. He looks like he's improving, but working all summer on his game. Of course, you got Brent Forbes, who looks like a new and improved shooter and everything like that coming out of Michigan State. So then you also have LaMarcus Aldridge continuing to tear up the league and stuff like that a little bit. DeRozan hasn't seemed to slow down, so this San Antonio team is still one to watch out for. I won't underestimate them as well. They'll be somewhere in the West, somewhere. Who knows? Next up is defending NBA champions, the Toronto Raptors. Of course, with Kawhi Leonard gone, you can't replace that. The guy basically brought you a championship, and you can't get that randomly in the NBA. Pascal Siakam is still remaining, just got the 4-year, $130 max contract. So that's going to be interesting to see how, he responds to everything and how he improves this season. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be a 20-plus point per game scorer. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. Maybe he's not able to handle that pressure. But let's see if OG Anunoby can show signs. And, he was compared to Kawhi Leonard when he got drafted out of Indiana. But, we'll see if time will tell if he can live up to that type of hype. Also, you got Fred VanVleet, the light-skinned Drake on the court. So, shout out to him. Not afraid of the big moment. Next up, you have the Utah Jazz. I think the Jazz will probably be one of the teams to win the most amount of games in the season, probably the top 3, just because of the sound defense and who they have on the team. Mike Conley, I think him and Donovan Mitchell have a ways to go, but you can definitely see the chemistry growing, so that'll be a thing to watch out for. And finally, we have the Washington Wizards. The Wizards are kind of in a nutshell. They kind of suck. They're the worst team behind the Hornets, or not tied with the Hornets in the league, honestly, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, you have Bradley Beal, but the guy just kind of isn't enough, and there's not enough surrounding him to kind of help him out. With John Wall's more likely out for this whole season as well. So, it'll be interesting to see how Beal reacts to it, especially after signing this 2-year, $70 million extension to stay in Washington until, 2023 or something like that. Rui Hachimura is a thing. Troy Brown Jr., the rookie from last year, who's going on his second year, he, is out with an injury right now, but hopefully he's getting playing time and, they can kind of just connect all the dots. But, Terry Shepard kind of said he knows what he's doing and sold Beal on a bright future in Washington, so we'll see how they go. But, that's all my teams and what I'm looking forward to seeing and what's going to be interesting facts about them. So, eventually, I'll come out with the East and West predictions and the standings and stuff for the end of the season, but we'll get there when we get there. That's a lot. So, yeah.